Story 1. The Whistle in the Woods. Summer is undoubtedly the best season, and that's a belief I'll defend fervently. For me, the allure of summer lies not in parties or drinking, but in nature, warm weather, and the great outdoors. Every time the heat rolls in, you'll find me outside, embracing the sun. One warm night in mid-June, a few summers back, my friends and I embarked on an adventure that still haunts me. At the time, I was 17 or 18. There's a massive nature preserve near my house. About 1,000 acres of dense forest, with areas even I haven't fully explored. My friends Dave, Tony, and I decided to spend a night camping there, even though camping was strictly forbidden. We figured that if we trekked deep enough into the woods, no one would catch us. Dave was the camping enthusiast of our group, practically a walking Boy Scout manual, and Tony always brought the drinks. As we packed up Tony's car, the gentle summer breeze made everything seem perfect. By 11:30 p.m., we were lugging our camping gear through the forest. Dave's industrial-grade flashlight cut through the darkness, but even with it, the woods at night had an eerie feel. After about half an hour, we found a small clearing and set up camp. Dave directed us in pitching the tent, and soon we had a fire going. Tony handed me another drink and started playing music from his JBL speaker. For a couple of hours, we drank and talked, enjoying the night. Suddenly, a deafening whistle pierced the silence. It was abnormally loud yet distant, and it snapped me from my drunken haze into high alert. Tony shut off the speaker, and we exchanged nervous glances, sitting in silence, listening intently. The forest felt unnaturally quiet, devoid of the usual night sounds. Dave suggested we pack up and leave, fearing whoever made the whistle might be nearby. But Tony and I argued it might be safer to stay put. It was already past 3 a.m., and encountering someone in the dark seemed dangerous. We compromised by deciding to wait it out, keeping the fire burning to deter animals. Then, something small flew over Tony's shoulder and landed in the fire. It was a firecracker. As it sparked, Dave bolted into the darkness, and Tony and I scrambled to follow, leaving our gear behind. We ran until we couldn't anymore, with Tony eventually collapsing and throwing up. After catching our breath, we realized no one seemed to be following us. Dave insisted on returning to check on our campsite and retrieve his gear. Tony was against it, but I reluctantly agreed. When we got back, the fire was still glowing, but something was wrong. 3 people sat in our chairs, motionless like statues. The sight was horrifying. We turned to leave, but Tony tripped and cursed, causing the fire to go out abruptly. We sprinted away, hearing footsteps chasing us, but by some miracle, we reached Tony's car unscathed. The next day, Dave and I returned to retrieve our belongings. We found the site mostly untouched, except for a rotting rat inside Dave's tent. It was a sickening reminder of how close we had come to danger. Since then, I haven't dared to go back to that preserve. Story 2. The Park Stalker. About a month ago, strange things began happening to me. I'm 24, living with my parents, and every penny I earn goes towards supporting our household. My relationship with my parents is strained, and fitness has always been my escape. There's a park nearby with workout equipment that I frequent, especially at night to avoid crowds. One sweltering summer night, after another argument with my parents, I decided to head to the park for a workout. The air was thick and humid as I drove my beat-up Corolla to the park. I was the only car in the lot, and the park was empty, creating a serene yet eerie atmosphere. I started my workout on the pull-up bars, losing myself in the repetitions. Suddenly, an indescribable feeling made me turn around. Standing just a foot away was a tall, haggard man. I screamed and jumped back, but he laughed, apologizing for scaring me. His appearance and behavior were unsettling, and he claimed he saw me working out often and wanted to join. Unnerved, I politely declined and resumed my workout. But then, he muttered my full name. My blood ran cold. I backed away, asking him to repeat himself, but he just stared at me with a crazed smile. Without another word, I quickly walked back to my car and left. The next morning, I found an unmarked envelope addressed to me at my front door. Inside were 10 photos of me, taken without my knowledge. One at work, one in my car, one at the park, and the most disturbing, one of me sleeping. I felt nauseous and immediately reported it to the police, describing the man from the park. A few nights later, I woke to knocks on the door at 3 a.m. I didn't answer, fearing the worst. Then, I found a sticky note with a heart drawn on my car window. The police opened a stalker investigation, but they haven't found anything concrete yet. My parents are now looking for a new home, but until then, I sleep with one eye open. Story 3. The Party Burglary. Last summer, when I was 22, my friend Ryan invited me to a spontaneous house party. Ryan and I drove separately, but as soon as I arrived, he bailed on me. Frustrated but determined not to waste the night, I decided to go inside alone. The host, Mark, greeted me warmly and introduced me around. Despite my initial apprehension, people were friendly, and I began to enjoy the party, drinking a bit too much. As the night wore on, I felt dizzy and decided to find a quiet spot to recover. I stumbled upstairs, looking for an unoccupied bathroom, but ended up in a dusty attic. I opened a window to let in some fresh air. Suddenly, I heard footsteps on the roof. I climbed out to investigate and saw 2 masked figures with bags. They were burglars. Panicking, I accidentally made a noise, alerting them to my presence. One burglar slipped and fell off the roof while the other escaped. I rushed back inside to alert Mark, and the police arrived, thanks to a neighbor who had called them for a noise complaint. Months later, Mark told me the captured burglar refused to reveal his partner's identity. Mark's family started receiving threatening letters and noticed suspicious activity around their home. They reinforced their security, but the other burglar remains at large. Conclusion. These chilling tales are just a glimpse into the eerie and unsettling experiences that can happen when you least expect it. If you enjoyed these stories and crave more spine-tingling narratives, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Sinisterna. Dive into the shadows with us, and remember, you never know what's lurking in the darkness.